So, the first reason why your plants may be growing slower than usual is because of the lack of sunlight. This is probably one of the more common reasons why they may be growing slower than usual, because one time we planted lettuce in the back of our house and where it didn't get any sunlight and was growing very slowly compared to the ones we planted in the front that gained at least 6 to 8 hours. So if you have plants that are in pots, then try moving them to areas that receive more sunlight. And before planting any crops, check the area that you want to plant the crops and note down to see how many hours there are. You can then plant the cooler weather crops that can tolerate shade in shade, which gets like around 4 hours of sunlight. But then some areas, some plants that need more sunlight, like warm weather crops, tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplants, plant those in an area which receives at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. If your plants are not getting enough sunlight, can also lead to them becoming weak and leggy. This is usually happens to seedlings, we have noticed, because when they don't have enough sunlight, they try to grow as long as possible to try and see if they can reach the sunlight. So if you're having problems with that, try to move them in an area like a windowsill to see if it can absorb some sunlight, or use some artificial growing lights if you're growing your seedlings indoors. The next reason is watering. So if you're overwatering, that can lead to waterlogged soil, and that soil can suffocate the roots, and therefore there will be not much oxygen in the soil which the plants need to grow. This can also cause your plants to get root rot, which can also make them grow slower. Make sure the soil is moist but doesn't become clogged or muddy. And if it rains too much, well, there's not much you can really do about it. On the other hand, if you're not watering your plants enough or underwatering, this can also lead to your plants growing slower than usual. To combat this problem, just make sure you water your plants regularly. And if you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing. So, the next reason why your plants may be growing slower than usual is temperature. So, temperature is one of the main factors when it comes to growing plants, vegetables. And usually when the temperatures are cold, cooler than usual, then warm weather crops will struggle to grow like at the normal speed, will grow slower than usual, like tomatoes, peppers, and zucchinis. Check your local weather forecast and see for the next few days if the temperatures are going to be colder than usual. And if you have already planted these warm weather crops like tomatoes and peppers, then you can put like a clear plastic bottle around it, or a cloche. Put one of those on top that'll act like a little greenhouse around it. We've done that in the past before and it's worked really well. We also have like a clear plastic tarp. We put that around our plants with some hoops. That also allows the sun to come in, which acts like a greenhouse again, keeping the plants warmer. So, the next reason why your plants may be growing slower than usual is because of the lack of nutrients. Plants need nutrients to grow, just like we also need nutrients, which comes from our food. And if the plants don't have enough nutrients, well, of course they will grow slower. The three main nutrients that plants need to grow are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And if a plant lacks these nutrients, well, that'll cause the growth to be stunted. To solve this issue, you can use some fertilizers like manure or blood and bone, or any other type of fertilizer, or by adding compost. This also helps to add nutrients to the soil and enrich it. A lack of these nutrients can cause yellowing leaves and poor flower and fruit production. The next reason is pests and disease. Pests and disease can also slow down plant growth. Common pests include slugs and snails, and common diseases include powdery mildew and blight. With pests like aphids, you can remove them with a hose, and with like slugs and snails, you can remove them by hand. Yes, that's a little bit yucky. Or you can also get rid of pests by using an organic pesticide like neem. With diseased plants like powdery mildew or blight, it usually tends to happen late in the season when the plant is already like coming to the end of its life. So if this is the case, then it's best to pull the plant out, because so that the disease doesn't spread to the other areas of your garden. If you have any solutions to these pests and diseases, make sure to put them down below in the comments so everyone can read them, and me too as well, so I can learn from them.